Beep. There we go. I'm gonna get my cup so this looks like, because I gotta have a mug. My mug. This is actually a funny story to this mug. This mug, one day at a time. One of my good friends gave me this. I think for Christmas of that year, I found out about my diagnosis, and she gave me this mug and a Beatles CD. I never heard the Beatles at that point, and she like made the CD for me, like all their best songs. And I was like, man, I still have that CD. That shit was so good, so good. Anyways, welcome y'all, welcome. This is Dusty Lion, and I am here with the wonderful, intelligent, beautiful Sade, and she's gonna be talking with us about HIV, staying healthy, cracking jokes, just being a goofball with me. But let me go ahead and start off. Give you the dab of that coffee. Yes, Lord.
I don't actually drink coffee.
What? Wait, hold. See, we're supposed to do an introduction, and that is how you start your introduction. What? Wait, okay, why don't you do coffee? Wait.
I'm just afraid of, like, needing it. You know?
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh my god, I need my coffee every morning. I don't want to be like that.
See, that's how I used to be, honestly, because I'd be like, it'd be a weekend, I'm like, all right, time to get up and do this. And I need my coffee. Let me go ahead and make that pot of that coffee real quick. And that never happened, so don't do it. I'm be like one of those friends that tells you never to smoke. They'd be like, don't ever smoke. It's the most addicting thing. But I'm being that friend right now, and I'm telling her not to drink coffee because it's bad for you.
It's not all bad, but I just don't want to have to need it, you know?
See?
That's all it is.
See, just make me feel worse and worse about myself. I just don't need it, you fucking addict. But yes, this is Sade. She's traveled all the way from Peoria to come talk about a lot of great things with us today. I'm gonna let her go ahead and take over the conversation. Introduce herself, if you can, please.
Hi, I'm Sade Francois.
Use your outside voice, girl. Use your outside voice.
I am a pediatric resident over in Peoria. I'm actually originally from Canada, but I came and did part of medical school here in the States, and then I started residency.
This girl is doing stuff. She is doing stuff. How awesome. Like, this is amazing. Like, man, I hope, like, y'all recognize this, that, like, whoever's striving to be a doctor in any category, like, you can do it. She's doing it. And she's doing this great thing with me, and I appreciate her for coming on here and doing this with me, because a lot of people feel kind of uncomfortable even stepping in front of a camera and just talking about HIV, because they're like, oh, that means I got it. You know, that means I know somebody that got it, you know? Like, you might do, actually. You might know someone who do have it. They just don't know that they have it. But anyways, I want to go ahead and thank her for coming here today. We're going to get right to the shits. So my first question to you is, if I was HIV negative, like, how do I, like, how should I disclose, or how should I have this conversation with my partner or whoever I'm involved with? Because, like, you know, being, of course, being gay is different, or being bisexual is different, but also being, like, you know, a black male, it's kind of hard to have that conversation. I think in my experiences, my ex-girlfriend, I told her that I was bisexual, and she just went like fucking 90s conservative on me. She was like, you're gonna get HIV, like, you probably been sleeping with your friends, like, all the times. I'm just like, whoa, I just want to, like, can we just have this conversation? And I feel like that's a lot of the case that people fear, because it actually does happen. So I think in your experience with talking with people who are HIV negative, or, you know, who just aren't comfortable with that topic of communication, how do you, like, let people know how to have that conversation with their partner or with their family?
I think it's really important that everyone feel comfortable talking about it.
Right.
Because though I think it's kind of a stigma in the gay and bisexual community, but it's also present in the straight community as well, and people need to realize that. So regardless of your status, you should have that. You should have that conversation with your partner. And be comfortable to do that, especially if you're going to be engaging in unprotected sex.
Yeah.
If it's like a long-term thing.
Y'all heard her right. Y'all heard her right. It's coming from not a specialist, but she put in the grind. She put in the grind. She getting there. But trust me, she gonna get there. She's on her way there right now. Well, that's perfect. Yeah, like, honestly, like, I think that's one of the things that we, like, we forget to like ask ourselves, and then also kind of like let ourselves be that vulnerable to have that conversation, because growing up you're taught to maybe have some sort of different mentality, or like a way you have to act, and that can carry into your adulthood. So I think a lot of that is, you really have to go to people who've been studying this. Her right here, all right, and she's giving us good advice. She's giving us great advice. So let's go ahead and go with the next question I have for you, and that question is, I got my questions down here, so fuck y'all if y'all judge me for looking down there, because it's happening. So my second question is, like, what's your experience with people who are HIV positive? Like, when I came to you, honestly, when I came to you and I told you I was positive, like, y'all, like, I was like, man, she's so pretty. Like, I'm not sure if I want to say this. Like, I don't know what you gonna think about me. So we were just sitting there talking, and honestly, we had like maybe we talked like about 3 times, and then like the 4th time there was another lady that came and talked with us, and then she was like, oh, why are you here? What brought you here? And I'm like, oh, I got involved with this Central Illinois friends, and I'm HIV positive, and that's when they got out there, and then me and her actually started really building more of a connection, because like I was able to share that piece of information. But like, do you find yourself, seeing people kind of disclose like that, in a sense, feeling comfortable to be able to disclose like that?
Wait, hold on. Pause.
I'm gonna keep going. She's waiting for me to have a perfect like moment to start the video. No, cut to the shits. Let's get to it.
All right. In my experience as a pediatrician, I guess a lot of my STD kind of conversations are with adolescent men and women, as well as sometimes with pregnant women who are about to have babies or just have had babies. Just with the vertical transmission, we call it, like spreading from you. Vertical transmission. Yeah. So if
I never knew that.
If you've had a baby come out of your birth canal, there's higher risk for certain things to be spread that way to your baby. So that's kind of where I personally deal with STDs for the most part. So in our adolescent population, of course, people are often shy about this stuff.
I'm gonna cut you off because like that whole, like, you just gave me like a shit ton of information. Yeah. I'm just like, wait, I never heard of that. Like, I heard of like you can. It can be passed by like birth and stuff, but I never.
That's
really
like
heard,
the technical term is vertical transmission. So from the mom to the baby through the birth canal.
So let's talk about that, because like, is that you said it's a high risk for that to happen. Like, honestly, in my experience, like when I found out that I was positive, I was like, I can't have my own kids. I gotta, if I want kids, I gotta adopt like kids, which I don't have a problem with. Don't get me wrong, because I still want to adopt kids, but I definitely want a little mini me, Dion. Like I want. Like 5 of them, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Then you gotta make that salary though. Everyone who knows me knows that's my line.
I'm glad you know that.
Yes.
Kids are expensive.
They are expensive. Like I work in claims, and the car seats cost like $500 for like a toddler car seat, and the kid gets bigger and bigger, so it only gets more expensive. So that shit makes sense. But yeah, like I just thought like I couldn't have kids because there was a possibility that I was going to transfer this to the kid, but like in my head, I didn't know that information. So how do you like educate people that you can still have kids? Yes, it's a high risk, but there are ways that we can avoid that. Right.
Okay. So the different STIs can cause different things in the baby. So that's why it's so important for us to know. So for women in particular who are pregnant, they get tested in their first trimester, and here in Illinois they get tested in their 3rd trimester as well, just to make sure that nothing has happened in between those months. So for example, for a woman who's HIV positive, if she's taking her medications and her viral load is undetectable or close to undetectable, then she has a pretty low risk of transmitting it to her baby, because the blood supply in the uterus while your baby is growing is actually separate.
Okay.
So your blood itself doesn't mix with your baby's blood. But when you deliver, that's when some of it kind of... So a lot of the times in those cases, the mom will just have a C-section and the baby will be born.
Wow. Well, I actually got a question on that too, because if that's the case, how do you kind of, I literally just drew a blank. I just had a whole like question in my head. It just went, yeah.
Think about it. Take your time.
Yeah. Let me go to the next question. If it come back,
okay.
I'm gonna ask you that. All right.
Yeah, but for the other STIs too, like for gonorrhea, chlamydia, those kind of things, those have other effects on the babies. Like gonorrhea, chlamydia can cause eye infections, and syphilis can cause brain stuff. So we test for most of them, just to make sure that mom gets treated if she does have anything, to prevent any transmission to the baby.
So as far as like testing, because now that we at that level, since we just kind of like transition to that, what, like, you know, if someone who is pregnant, or if a woman is pregnant, like, and she discovers she has an STD, what are your recommendations for her? Of course, treatment, but like, are there side effects to the baby for those treatments? Because those are some powerful antibiotics.
Yeah, the ones we give, most of them, honestly, like syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, it's like a one-time dose of whatever the appropriate medication.
But I nodded because I'm like, yeah, I know that. But yeah, I know a little bit. Not in personal experiences. I'm gonna shut my mouth real quick though.
Yeah. So we just give the one. It's usually just a one-time dose. So you take it, and we will only give meds that are safe for pregnant women. And that's it. And then we just, of course, advise everyone else to engage in safe sex and all of that to prevent yourself from getting reinfected with anything while you're pregnant. But that's really it.
Well, I want to go back to the testing, because you said that you work for St. Joseph.
I work for St. Francis.
St. Francis, excuse me. St. Francis Hospital, pediatric part of it, correct? So, like, how often do you kind of like touch the like STI or STD side of things, since you work in more pediatric?
Anytime I have an adolescent patient. Anyone.
So when you say adolescent, are you talking about like how?
Like.
Not to disclose like any of your clients, but I'm I'm like, that's young.
Anyone who's sexually active.
Okay.
And then we start talking about it regardless once you're like 12-ish, like asking about your sexual activity, whether, you might be sexually active or not.
Yeah.
Kind of start having those discussions around 12.
Kind of what we did at the high school, right? Okay,
around
cool.
12, 13, somewhere around there. You kind of gauge it out, but typically around there.
So it's kind of hand in hand with what you do, essentially.
Exactly.
All right.
Because it's important to learn this stuff from young. Because as a pediatrician, I believe that good habits should be instilled from early to bring you up into adulthood. So as soon as you're of that age, it's important to start talking about it and making people aware about it. I
agree. Because honestly, I was just talking with one of my friends like last week, and he was like, I was like, man, like, why didn't we, we were having such a great conversation. I'm like, why didn't we, became buddies in, college? You're so chill as fuck. Like, we just, why didn't we connect then? And he was just like, I don't know. He's like, probably because I wasn't out. I just wasn't comfortable with myself. But on top of that, I think that led into, the conversation of just, man, I wish, we knew that PrEP existed. For me, 2014, 2013, I didn't know what PrEP was. I didn't know what that was. I didn't understand it. I never heard of it up until after I maybe about 2 years ago probably found out about it when I started dating people, and they were like, oh, well, you can invest in this pre-exposure medicine. And so my thing is with that, how do you get people to want to go out and learn this information? Because you're right, you need to start at a young age if you're going to be engaging in, any type of sexual conduct or sexual activity. Did I just say sexual conduct? What? What does that even mean? All right. Anyways, let me just go to what I was about to say. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think, we should start young. It's a hard conversation because I'm not a fucking parent. Honestly, I will be talking to a kid like I'm talking to y'all right now. And that kid would just be like, what? Honestly, even when I'm at those high school events, I'm just kind of like, are you sexually active? And they'll be like, am I? And I'm like, well, if you are, here's some like it's like one of those conversations where you don't know how to have, but at the same time you have to learn how to have. Like I think it's just you had over time. Of course, this is my first time. Like that's not how I am now. Of course, like at first I was just like are you sexually active? If so, here. But then like what if they're comfortable? And then like what if I'm not carrying that confidence to have that conversation with them, and they're probably like, this fucking tard, or like he don't know what he's talking about. Like he's just trying to tell me to do this because this is his job kind of thing. But you want to make sure that the youth they're educated because that's important.
Yeah, it's one part of a lot of things. I mean, we talk about mental health. We talk about their home life. We talk about how school is going, and then we talk about sexual stuff because it's all part of their well-being. So.
Now, what exactly, as far as like testing, you say you do like other like counseling services as well, or were you kind of lead into that, or just what are the other resources or things that you kind of help with adolescents who are sexually active to kind of educate them and kind of make sure that they're okay?
Oh, I see. So from my perspective, it's mainly just in the clinic. That's kind of where we talk about that kind of stuff. Okay. And we provide a lot of information. Depends on how much, their activity and how much they want to know.
You're a fucking whore.
No.
I'm just kidding.
And how
we
much
don't cut that. We not, though.
How much they want to know and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We also do, like, as residents, we go to the university, one of them, in Peoria, and so we talk. It's a little bit more in depth there.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet. That's like a rotation for a second year, but that's something else that we do.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's part of our curriculum. Everyone does it. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have you take off your doctor hat because she's got the white coat on. She's like, I came here to do business, Dion. I'm here to talk about STDs and how to help people. Go ahead and take off that hat real quick. I'm asking you a personal question. Like, you yourself, how do you, make sure that whoever you're involved with are accountable for, their status, their health, like, are you, because I'm not saying this is you, but the day and age that we live in, hookup culture is huge. It's huge. Like, I can just pop my phone open and I can just look what I want and I can be good and I just keep going about my daily life. So, like, how do you in your personal life kind of take the things that you practice in your profession to other people and also practice that as well?
Right. So, like, just among my friends or among myself, I encourage, like, having that conversation.
What conversation?
You're
giving me that look. Having that conversation.
Having that conversation, like, when last we're tested, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Prior to engaging in sexual activities.
You're having such a hard time with this. I love it. You're just like, just sexual intelligence.
Yeah, that's typically, like, that's what I recommend to do. Like, just for my friends, for myself, that kind of thing. Being aware before you get engaged. And having that discussion. So that way you're protecting yourself, protecting them really too.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a two-way thing. So
It is. Because, like, honestly, if we were engaged and, like, involved with each other, not engaged, we're single. We're both single. We're very good looking. I'm single. She's single. People, we're single, all right?
In case that wasn't clear.
If that wasn't clear enough. Like, but anyways, I think if we were involved, you got to have that conversation, like, do you know what your status is? Or, like, instead of just being like, are you clean? Or, like, when was the last time you got tested? Kind of more of like a 21 question thing, but try to be in the mindset of, like, if I'm about to have sex with you, I'm about to, like, expose, like, a really vulnerable part of myself to you. And I care about my well-being. Like, for me, I never had that mindset. Like I was, a virgin up until I was 19. And, like, everyone around me was just having sex, but I was, like, that fucking nerd in the house, like, oh, I'm going to play this video game, like, for the next 4 hours. And then, like, I get to college, I got so much freedom, but I got so much freedom with no, like, understanding or, like, education, no mentor, no guidance. Yeah, they had, like, the sexual awareness, things that you can go to, like, put little rubbers and little condoms and, like, ha-ha-he, like, oh, like, this is fun. but like that really wasn't educating me. That was kind of like your middle school health course or class, and I feel like a lot of people don't utilize those resources that they have available to you. I think it's just like ranted. Like I started off like me and her like being involved, then talking about it, and then like then I went to this, and then I went to this. Like I'm very like I just go.
You just got a lot of things in your mind.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. She agrees with me, y'all. See, she's a keeper. Look at that. She's agreeing with me already.
Well, you know.
All right, well, I'm going to go to the next question here. That other question is, man, I write sloppy. What do you recommend? Oh, yeah, let's go to that. What do you recommend someone who is positive or who just found out they were positive? Because, in that moment, there's so much shit going in your head. Like, how do you recommend them to stay healthy and like try to make sure that they stay in line with their health so they don't make it detrimental,
right?
In the long term.
So only once have I had to, wasn't even me directly, but I was part of the team who had to disclose to a patient that they were HIV positive. And it's devastating news. I mean, nobody wants to hear that.
I didn't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, of course. But it's important that because there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of misunderstanding about the disease. Even just looking back, like from 20 years ago, when they used to enter rooms with patients with HIV in like full masks and stuff, just because people didn't understand. They just didn't understand. So, anyways, it's important that you give them the information, that you explain to them. This no longer has to be a death sentence. Of course, you're going to have to live with it.
It ain't the best sentence.
Yeah. You're going to have to live with it, but you can live with it.
Yeah, you can.
So you just have to take care of yourself.
I'm like modeling myself right now. Like, you can live with it. You can look this good too.
It's true.
Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. There's medications for it that can, keep your viral loads to the point where you can't even detect them in your blood. And that makes it very unlikely for you to pass it on to other people. So that they know that's important for them to know. As well as, I was going to say something, I completely lost my train. Oh, mental health. Because a lot of people fall into like a depression when they find out, because it's a lifelong thing that they're going to have to deal with and disclose to people and all of that. So making sure that they get the mental health like counseling that they need, because that's a large component of it as well.
I agree with you. I think the mental health is a big one. I was going to say something else as far as the viral suppression. I'll get back to that one. I want to touch on the mental health one because that's a really big topic. Like nowadays, because people are becoming more confident in that I don't want to call it a disability, but becoming more confident to talk about, they're dealing with depression, or they may be dealing with some sort of mental state that that it's affecting their daily lives. So I think that's a really huge one that a lot of people tend to fall into from personal experience. Like I definitely went through that period, and it's definitely on and off. But I think you got to have the right support, the right resources, but not everyone has all those resources, which is what I want to get to. The next question is how do you think in your practice that we can kind of like get more reach to people who may not be as privileged as me, to get tested, to see what their status is, to get therapy if they need it, any type of thing that can kind of assist them in any kind of way to kind of HIV or not HIV kind of thing.
I mean, of course, you can always go, if you have a primary care doctor, family doctor, whoever it is you see for your regular checkups, which I hope everyone does.
Do it.
You can, all of that is available through them. And just realizing that your doctor is there to help you, they're not there to judge you. So you don't have to feel uncomfortable.
That shit is so hard to believe, though.
No, but it's so true. Because listen, we see all kind of craziness. Like, we see things you would never even imagine.
I had a few fingers on my butt from a doctor, and I felt so judged. I was like, dude, she just having time at this.
You were probably like the 5th patient for her day. You know what I mean? So it's not like we're not taking this. And
it's kind of like your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And people need to realize that. Don't feel uncomfortable.
But I think that's such like...
I know it's so easy for me to say, but really...
No, like, even as a doctor, like, I think just, like, it's just something you're not prepared for. You gotta think, well, I'm not even gonna say prepared. It's kind of like, man, like, how did I get here? How did we get here? You didn't even ask me out to dinner. Like, you didn't even ask me my name or my number. You just asked me for my alias, and that was it. You told me to turn around. I'm going to have Sade step over. Just a little bit up. Mm-hmm. Closer. So, I want to go back and talk about, start with my experience with depression. I was diagnosed like 4 years ago from December 8th, and when I found out, I went to my friend like the next day, that day actually. I called her out of class. My door's about to pop open because I didn't close it. My bad. Jeez, Louise. I'm back. All right. So what I was getting to is I was talking to my friend and kind of explaining to her, like, I'm only 22. I found out I'm HIV. I'm positive. I'm about to die. Like this is it. This is the end game. Like, there's nothing more after this. Like, I just got out of a breakup. I didn't get that internship I wanted. Like, everything was just like downhill. That was the worst year of my life, and like it all got like it just ate at me. And so I wasn't seeing therapy. I was turning to like Xanax, drinking, like blacking out at places. Like, I'd be blacking out, and people just come up to me like, "Yo, I know who you are. Like, why are you knocked out outside?" Or if my friends see me outside, they'll wake me up, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, what the fuck happened?" And I wasn't going to all the resources that were available to me because I think I was more or less still coping with the idea like, oh, I'm still gonna die regardless. Why try and help myself? Mm-hmm. Why are you wanting to help me? Like this is it. This is the end game. So I'm gonna go out with a fucking bang. I'm gonna go out how I want to go out, kind of thing. And that's not a good mindset to be in or anything like that. So I want to talk about mental health as far as like what do you recommend for someone?
Yeah, I think that it's good that you acknowledge that part of it, because it is an important part of it. But like I was saying before, realizing that HIV is not a death sentence anymore. It doesn't have to be a death sentence anymore, mm-hmm. as long as you are willing to take care of yourself and
hopeful sentence.
Yes, take the appropriate precautions
mm-hmm.
to keep yourself healthy and keep others healthy. But yes, regardless of that, it's still a big pill to swallow in terms of coping with it.
Which, by the way, I gotta take my pill in like the next hour.
It's a lot to deal with. So I think it's important to have someone to talk to. Like,
yeah. It's
good to have friends. It's really strong to have it's really important to have a good support system.
There it is. I knew what you were saying, but you got it out.
Yeah, but it's good to even just talk to like a third party neutral person as well. Just to kind of go through your thoughts with mm-hmm. them, to kind of make sure that that you're understanding everything properly, that you're able to get it out and debrief kind of what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really important just for your everyday living, so you can go on and still be a productive person and not let this kind of be your title. Like,
mm-hmm.
HIV doesn't have to be your title.
Now, with that being in mind, like, I know a lot of people kind of look at HIV like they don't want to affiliate with it, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's at first it's HIV, and second, that means like there's other baggage going on there, which is true. I mean, but everybody got baggage. but it's how you
cope with it.
Yeah, I wanted to say cope, but I'm like, is that deal with it? Yeah, like it's how you deal with it. But I think you are right. Is you got to have your friends, that the support system, the resources.
Mm-hmm.
If someone came to your office and they are HIV positive, like if I came there and I came to you and I'm like, I want to talk to Sade or someone else in here, like, I'm looking for resources. 'Cause I know a friend who just found out they're HIV, positive, and I don't know what to do but to be a friend. But sometimes, like, being a friend is just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you getting those resources out to people? How are you kind of telling people, like, yo, like, yeah, you're HIV positive, but your ass ain't gonna die.
Yeah. So, I mean, I talk to you personally, like, make you feel comfortable talking to me at first. But then I kind of introduce, like, other resources that are probably can be more specifically helpful to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, different specialists or different counselors or that kind of thing, so that you can reach out and get the, like, more appropriate help that you need, whether it's medically or mentally or whatever it is that you need for your general well-being and health. But I gotta, like, talk to you and make you comfortable first, and then we kind of bring the other people into it.
She knows she's got all the information, y'all. Like, if y'all need this, yes, she's in Peoria, but she knows what she's talking about. Feel free to ask questions. Like, shoot me a question, ask her a question. I'll put her information up on this video. Was there anything else as far as, like, the mental portion of HIV that we kind of want to address? Are we missing something?
Just the main thing, knowing it doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's what gets a lot of people. And just knowing how to live comfortably with it. Learning how to live comfortably with it.
Okay.
I guess.
Well, I'm gonna have her do a quick exercise because we just got off that, like, really hot, like, intense topic. So we just go, shake it out. Yeah, shake it. Happy, I was gonna say Saturday. I want to say that.
Today is Saturday.
It is Saturday, but I'm doing this.
Oh, right.
I'm like, happy Saturday. I'm not gonna say that, but happy, whatever this gonna be happening, Monday morning. Was more than like I'll probably be putting this up there. It's probably Monday morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll be doing it all day Monday. So you're gonna be like my Monday for everything. Is that cool?
Cool.
Okay, cool. We cool. So we just shook that out. I did want to go back to talking about PrEP. So if you guys don't know what that is, I did talk about that in one of my questions. PrEP is a pre-exposure medication for people who are not HIV positive, HIV negative, of course. But if they are to be exposed to, HIV, the virus itself, this medicine does its part to protect them. How effective is this medicine? Like, is it a 50-50 thing, or is it like a 90? Like, are there cases out there where people have taken PrEP and they still get it? Like, are people still having unprotected sex while taking PrEP because they feel like they? I'm just throwing you a shit ton of questions.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know the percentage.
Okay.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I do know that if your HIV positive partner is taking their medication and you are also taking PrEP, their levels are probably already undetectable. Mm. So in addition to you taking the PrEP, it makes it just very, very unlikely to
occur,
to contract it. Statistically, number-wise, I don't actually know off the top of my head, but it's pretty effective.
I mean, I think even in my experiences, I think I had I'm not naming names, but like my ex was on PrEP, and like it was never really a big issue. I always wonder, like, if you're taking PrEP, are there side effects? Because like even with my medication, there are side effects, like your liver can get like toxins and buildups, your kidneys. It's a really strong medicine, of course, because it's antiviral, but it's like a strong ass medicine. I'm like, man, I wonder if PrEP does this for people, because one of my ex who I did date a while back was kind of like hesitant to start it because, we were talking about it and like trying to get him to kind of start this, not just for us, but just, for whatever reason, if we don't make it out together or whatever, like that he's still protecting himself and, you know, being cautious because there's just all types of shit out there that you can contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if you have two HIV positive people and they both have unprotected sex, they still recommend you not to have unprotected sex, right?
Yeah, there's technically like various strains of HIV, so you could be, if you don't have the same strains, you could still be.
So I can get the super virus.
There's two to my knowledge. There's two strains. Like one is more common in America than the other, but there are two strains of HIV.
Yeah, I think that's so funny because I think I still had like my slip of when I first got my diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Like they told me like if I had the first one or the second one. I think I had the first one, and then in the second one, I think they said like in parentheses like, oh, this one's like, you know, elsewhere more common type of thing. And I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, but I want to go.
It's probably also just like for practice, you know, like just because you're just for, you know what I mean, like to have that habit of not have, you know what I'm trying to say.
I don't know, because my university, they just kind of threw that shit at me. They were just like, yo, you're HIV positive. Here's a card. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, okay, all right, well, here it is. It wasn't like that bad, but it was like, I think more or less because how I remember it, right? Because it was cold, it was dark, it was a cold December day, type of thing. But honestly, no, they gave me some resources. I wish they had a lot more resources, and that's what I love about the hospital that you work with. And there's IDPH, there's Positive Health Solutions, there's Central Illinois Friends, like all these like organizations that I never heard of that help so many people here in Central Illinois, and like with rent assistance, electric bills, transportation, food. What am I missing? I mean, hell, like Christmas presents too. If you ain't got family, if you're out of state and you're here and you're just living house to house. So a lot of them organizations try their best to help make the lives of people living with HIV a lot more easier, because it can be hard on your mental state if you don't feel like there are people out there rooting for you or cheering for you. Just kind of like, fuck, I'm just kind of like doing this. I'm just here. Like, yeah, I'm healthy, but like, shit, any moment, any day at this time, I feel like I can just take my life because I just don't feel like I'm not worthy, or I don't feel like no one really cares that I'm here right now. And so I think it's, I'm like spitting so fucking much, and I know
I only just noticed that one. So.
I know she's probably like, damn, he spits a lot. I just got a very, very highly active
salivary glands.
Yeah, see? Look at that. Look at that. You just want to be like my personal assistant. I just like walk around and just be like, yeah, I just got like this. And then just look at her and she's just like, salivary gland.
Salivary gland.
Salivary?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Salivary gland, yeah.
Yes. Sidetracked, but that's okay.
Yeah. I tried to figure out what I want to go with that, but there was just none to pick up with that. What do we leave off at? We talked about PrEP. You know, how that's important, because guys, that is extremely important. Is there a PrEP for, like, can women take PrEP too, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not, yeah. If a woman is involved with an HIV positive man, then yeah, women could take PrEP.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think about it. It's like a birth control for like men, though. Like I always like, that's very stupid for me to say that, but I'm about to like put myself on this spot because that's what we hear is to sound stupid, so that someone who is actually like smart can be like, no, that's not what it's for. Like, you know, there's, yeah, you know, a guy can take it and a girl can take it. Because I just never thought about that. Like, I don't think I really ever met a female who takes PrEP. So
yeah, if you're with someone who is, then yeah, you can take it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Well, I did want to talk about viral suppression.
Mm-hmm.
She mentioned it earlier about if your viral load, which is like how much of the virus is in your body, is suppressed by the medicine that you're taking. Like, how does that work?
So HIV is a virus, basically. I'm kind of gonna get scientific, but it's a virus that.
I'm ready for this. She's about to blow my fucking head off.
It's a virus that kind of attaches.
Gotta hold on my wig. Hold on to my wig.
It infects they're called CD4 cells. Those are part of your white blood cells. So these
are the ones that are doing the battle, guys.
Exactly, the ones that are fighting off infections. So the virus basically gets into the CD4 cells, which are supposed to help like activate your immune system. So it gets in and it replicates itself inside of the cells, and then those cells die, and you've had replicated virus that and then goes to another.
Oh shit! You just blew my head off. Do y'all get what she's saying though, right? Like she's saying the virus, how it spreads, it injects itself into another.
So it goes into your CD4 cell, replicates itself. That cell dies, and then it goes into another CD4 cell, replicates itself, and it becomes like exponentially. Essentially.
Wow, it's like a fucking.
Yeah, so it grows, and your CD4 cells die. That's why your white counts, eventually, if you're not treating yourself, they just go down, and eventually you have basically no immune system.
Now, does the virus act the same in like everybody? So like how I have it, is it going to act the same as if another person has it?
So it acts the same. Like the progression of the disease can differ in different people. Like some people, let's say you're not treating yourself, eventually HIV would lead to AIDS just because of you're killing all your white blood cells. Yeah. So that could take a really long time in some people. It could take even up to like 10 years, or it could take a shorter time in some people. The reason for that I'm not totally sure, but I know that the time span can be different, but the mechanism is the same. It's going into your cells.
Your shit blowing up, basically. Like the virus goes into your fucking your white blood cells, replicate itself, and blows it up, and it fucking just keeps doing that until it's like compromise your whole fucking body, which is AIDS.
Essentially.
But once you have AIDS, can you like not have AIDS? Can you go back to HIV? Because I was told that like once you have AIDS, you can't.
I feel like once you've reached that point, it's kind of like you just have that diagnosis. Whether you're able to stabilize it or not is another thing. But so AIDS technically by definition your CD4 count is less than 200. Which is super low.
Very low.
And then you're at risk now for like infections that a regular person would not get because of our immune system would fight it off. So then that's when you're diagnosed with AIDS. But yeah, the virus has to have replicated in a lot of your cells and killed off a lot of your cells before that happens.
Don't let that happen, y'all.
So that's why take your medication.
Yeah, on time too.
Before you reach that, so that you don't reach that point.
And actually, while she's on camera, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all what it's like to do this. Oh, that's a no bottle. I should probably throw that away, right?
Probably not that helpful.
I reuse the bottles though for other things. So I'm not a very like one of those people's like, oh, I got my medicine for Monday, Tuesday. I'm very much like, give me the fucking bottle, put it in my bag wherever I go. Like if I'm staying at my aunt's or if I'm going back home, I know that I have it because I always have my book bag on me because I always want to work on something because of just how it is. But this is my medicine. I'm about to take my shit right now because it is 2:53 and I am just about on time. But yeah, this is what they call Genvoya. It's like you guys can like see that. I don't think it'll focus on you guys, but like it's like a very like weird pill. The one I had before was like huge, like, and I actually switched because the first one I had was giving me a lot of like weird infections in my kidneys. Like I just be like sore back here, like just all that. On top of it, I was very stressed out in that relationship that I was in at the time, so that was definitely part of it too. But bottoms up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you stay a... okay, there we go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you stay a healthy baby. You take your medicine, because if you don't take your medicine, I think on time, every day, honestly, I think that shit can, like, it evolves, essentially. It can be, what is it called? I'm trying to think of the word. Do y'all know the word? It becomes, I'm not saying, I was going to say mutated, but that's not the word.
The virus?
Yeah.
Well, it's no longer suppressed if you don't take it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but like if you don't take it on time, I thought like it becomes it fights the medicine because and now I'm trying to think of the word that it's called though.
Like resistance.
Resistance. Yeah. The I am HIV positive. I'm being honest. I am. But yeah, the medicine the virus becomes resistant to the medicine because you have let like open. I'm just gonna give y'all a fucking analogy. You have let the window open. You know, you're supposed to keep it shut at certain times. You know, so it doesn't get in, and then when you leave it open at certain times, it goes in little by little, and you just keep cutting off. And once you keep doing that, it starts to develop. And it honestly, I think about it. That's probably what was happening with me back on my first medication because there were maybe in the 30-day period for about a year, I probably was kind of missing maybe like 1 or 2 days. Of course, that doesn't hurt. Your doctor tells you like, you know, 1 day wouldn't hurt you, 2 days wouldn't hurt you, but like get that shit as soon as you can, kind of thing.
Control.
Yeah, it is. It's a.
Don't miss those pills. Don't miss those pills. You don't want to have a baby.
You don't. I mean, I want to have a baby, but I want to have a healthy baby. So I mean, I want to make sure I'm, taking care of myself. But you're right, though. It's definitely a birth control. Like, if anything, I'm like, I respect like women who are on birth control because that's just difficult. I think that was the hardest part when I found out that I was HIV positive was because I was like, man, I don't want to take a pill. I don't want to take a pill every day just to suppress this or just to be living. Like that sounds so much. That sounds like a lot. Like you look at me like this motherfucker. But at the time
it becomes important that you remember.
Yeah. At the time I was like, I was just like, man, I don't want to do this because it's a new routine in my day. I gotta change something about myself. I gotta be different. And that was like honestly that was the hardest part for me being HIV positive was the fact that I had to like take medicine every day. Like I wasn't comfortable with it with myself. I wasn't having the comfort outside of who I was and my resources to kind of say that's okay. You need to do this. More or less kind of like, oh, you need to do this because you have to kind of thing. Not like because, yo, you have to do this because we want you here. We love you. You're a great person. So we want you alive and we want you healthy. So I think that's a lot of that is missed sometimes when people are talking about HIV in medicine. Hey guys, so again, I want to thank Sade for coming all the way from Peoria to share her information, her resources, and her time with me today and also with you. So let's go ahead and give her a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming to do this. Problem. I'm not sure if this is a channel or this is like something we're doing, but she's like, hey, you're doing something good. So I think we're off to a great start. Guys, I want to thank you so much. I'm going to be sharing me and Sade's conversation throughout the day. And then I'm also going to be having another special guest with me tomorrow. So please stay tuned. But I want to go ahead and let you guys know that Sade actually got herself a free hoodie for coming to talk with us. So here's your HIV hopeful hoodie. And thank you for coming and being a part of this.
I'm glad I could be of use.
She said, glad I could be of use. While I was doing this. Like, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
That was just coincidence.
Yeah, it was just like odd timing. Perfect timing. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you coming here, Sade. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Bye.